Just do right for the country. We got like the greatest country in the world, and we're trying to F it up. I'm tired of the gaslighting. I'm tired of the nonsense. I'm tired of the BS. It's astounding to me that you can just sit there, look at us, and lie. Just be honest. We need adult men with the great American penis. I'm just tired of it, aren't you? I'm totally, completely fed up. ESPN, you can suck it. By the way, loved my time there because I didn't have to go there anymore. Love the fact that you paid me a boatload of money and one kid got through Indiana, the other kid got through Michigan. Loved it that I took your money and was the best to ever do it, but you suck. And we all knew it when we were there. We all knew it. See, when I first started ESPN, guys had to walk around in straitjackets because a book came out, Boys Just Want to Have Fun, and all the idiots, older ESPN guys were acting like jackass towards women. And then by the end, it became this maniacal, liberal, idiotic place, and now it's completely out of control. But at least be honest with us. At least don't look at us and lie, Jimmy Patera. At least don't say, well, we don't stifle conservative voices and viewpoints. My ass, you don't. Let me give you the latest example. Paul Finebaum is 70 years old and he's finally growing a pair. Instead of sitting there like the smug, bookish librarian that thinks he's getting over on a bunch of Southern Hill Jacks, he actually grew a pair. By the way, Todd McShay calls him the biggest coward out there. I don't know what that's all about, but I thought I would throw it in. But Finebaum claims that ESPN, listen to this, denied him the ability to interview Donald Trump. Now think about that. They just lie. So Finebaum comes out, and it was a few years ago, and says, hey, I had an interview set up with Donald Trump on the SEC network, an arm of what? ESPN. Be great for the SEC network before a football game. And Patero and ESPN said no. All the while, of course, they had Joe Biden, whatever Joe Biden was doing on television. All the while, they had their lying ass, ridiculous, ugly as hell, Ella Duncan or whatever the hell her name is, on there lying during a women's college basketball game about a bill that was not named Don't Say Gay, but she made it into it, and you allowed that. Of course, all the while, little sniveling douchebag Andy Katz is running up the ass of President Obama, but Andy Katz rubs up the ass of most people. But the truth of the matter is, they just lie to us, and I'm tired of it. I'm fed up with it. Do whatever you want to do. Sue me. Whatever you want to do. I don't care. I'm coming after everybody. No, it's pissing me off. All you do is lie. Don Lemon married to a white dude. White dudes are evil. Pritzker, well, it's the liberal, or it's the Republicans that are using the word fascist. Are you out of your freaking mind? No, it's total crap. What a total bunch of crap. Here's Finebaum. Let's get into Finebaum and ESPN blocking an interview with Donald Trump. But remember, head douchebag Jimmy Patero, the king of, my team, we don't. Our team doesn't stifle conservative views. Bullshit. I worked there. Everybody in the building knows it, you jackass. We saw what happened when I left. We saw what happened to Sage Steele, Ashley Brewer, Samantha Ponder. How can people, I do not understand this. How can people look the American people in the eye and just lie? I'm stunned by it. No, I didn't say that. No, we didn't do this. No, this is what we do. I will never understand. Yes, I'm a bad guy. I'm terrible. Read anything about me. I'm the worst human being alive. But I don't sit there and look at you and just straight out lie. Lie. We don't stifle conservative views. Jimmy Patero, said after this, listen to Finebaum.
What do you think would happen if you told ESPN, hey, I'm going to have President Trump on my radio show?
I almost did that once.
What happened?
You remember the 2019 game? LSU and Alabama.
Oh yeah, when he came in, I was there. I mean, that was in the Burrow versus Tua, one of the great college football games of all time.
So here we go, saying things that. Our producer said we've got to do something big.
Yeah, because the game was so massive.
College Game Day was going to be there. Our show is not obviously College Game Day, so I reached out to a friend of mine in D.C. He said, "You want to get Trump?" I said, Yeah.
But by the way, anyone who has ever hosted a show in the history of mankind that does not want the president, whether it's Democrat, Republican, whoever the hell it is either lying to you or a complete moron, to interject. So
he said, I was doing a Get Up and First Take in New York 2 days a week. I said, I'm going to be in New York on Wednesday. I'd have to come through. He said, I think we could do it at the White House Thursday morning. Can you get there? I said, yeah, I can get there. I'm in New York.
Right.
He said, let me run it down the flagpole. And he texted me back saying, it's looking good. I called my boss, and they killed it.
What's the reaction when you think you're going to get to interview the president and they say, nope, not happening?
I was devastated. They told me that we are not allowed to mix politics with sports.
What do you think they would have said if it were Barack Obama and you had the opportunity to interview him?
I think the answer is pretty evident that Andy Katz went to the White House
every year for the bracket.
So, it was a turning point for me. It wasn't about politics at all.
Yeah.
It was just about the idea of going to the White House to interview the President of the United States. And it wasn't about politics.
Yeah.
It was about
the game that he was going to attend.
Game, the biggest game of the year in college football. And I never exactly knew where the kill button came from, but it didn't happen.
You know where the kill button came from. I worked there. The kill button came from Jimmy Pitaro, who is running ESPN, who famously said, we don't stifle conservative views. Now listen to this. Biden appeared on SportsCenter 2 years after Finebaum tried to get Trump on. 2 years after, to talk about masks, Georgia voting laws, the Major League Baseball All-Star Game. 2 years later, we don't mix politics. There's a Democratic, I don't know if he was president there. I don't know what the hell he was. Finebaum maintains that his interview with Trump wasn't political. He planned to talk to the president about college football. Biden appears on ESPN to openly talk about politics. And of course, former SportsCenter host Sage Steele claimed that the entire interview was scripted by ESPN executive outreach, or Outkick reached out to ESPN for comment on Finebaum's remarks and why they allegedly killed an interview with Trump, but allowed an interview with Biden and the yearly appearances by Obama. Of course, they declined to answer. Aren't you just tired of it? Like, I will never understand. I get it. I'm a minion. I get it. I've never rose to the ranks of a Jimmy Pitaro. But I've lived a really honest life. Really honest. And I live by the mirror, which is I want to be able to look myself in the mirror and go, hey, I'm all right, regardless of what happens, who writes an article, who does whatever. I'll never understand how people like Jimmy Pitaro can look in a camera, tell a reporter a straight lie, know it's a lie, and yet convince yourself that it's not a lie. And aren't you tired of it? Like, it would be okay, I think, for people to go, yeah, we think Trump's too volatile. Yeah, we think Biden is perfect for our network. He comes across better, so we want that. But don't tell us you don't stifle conservative views. I tell you what you don't stifle is idiots, and I mean idiots, that are sitting there at ESPN acting like complete idiots because they know they're unchecked. They absolutely know they are unchecked, period. That's it. Now, Danny Z wrote the article, and it was fantastic. That wasn't the only news that Paul broke with his interview with Clay, which right now is downloaded at outkick.com. It's a fascinating interview, whether you like Finebaum or not. I personally think he's a smug douchebag, but hey, that's just me. Although he was very nice to me and me him. SEC host and analyst Paul Finebaum says he's considering leaving ESPN to run for the U.S. Senate. Well, after the news Finebaum broke, about 6 months from now, he'll be leaving ESPN. And he would run on the Republican ticket. Boy, doesn't that frost the asses of all those higher-ups that actually did vote for Trump. No. Honest to God. It's an exclusive interview with Clay. Finebaum said Charlie Kirk's assassination made him rethink his priorities. The 70-year-old radio and TV host said he struggled to do his show after hearing about Kirk's death. Yeah, I get that. Certain moments in your life affect you, and sometimes you're on the air and you're like, I'm here, but I'm not really here. Here's Finebaum on running for Senate.
Tommy Tuberville is running for governor. A former Auburn coach who beat Alabama 6 times in a row, and I think it's fair to say he's going to win pretty comfortably, seems to be the assessment. There's an open Senate seat. Bruce Pearl, also at Auburn, had talked about it. He says now he's not going to run. Is that with the conversation? Are you somewhat interested and intrigued at the opportunity of looking into that Senate race? I'm assuming that's what they reached out to you to talk to you about.
Yes. And I was hesitant at first because I was very aware of Bruce's interest and huge fan of Bruce, and I thought he would have a tremendous voice. So I was very cautious. I didn't take it too seriously. And then ultimately, I ended up talking to someone who made it clear that there was a desire for me to be involved. And this person, obviously, that shall remain nameless, was compelling and compassionate in the approach to me. And I started thinking about it.
This is a person highly up in the Alabama political universe, is that fair to say, that
Yes.
you're having the conversations with?
Yes.
Okay, so you're thinking about it now. How, when thinking about it, the next step, the steps, I mean, obviously, I'm assuming that what people would say is, Paul Finebaum has basically 100% name recognition in the state of Alabama, right? I don't think that's crazy. You have the ability to obviously speak on television. You're a good communicator. You've talked to the people of Alabama for decades now. What's that time frame look like for you? So there are people who want you to run. You've been struck, I mean, I think maybe it's fair to say, by the seriousness of things going on in the world. You've had a lot of success in sports. Some people would say, are you willing to give up? I mentioned Lee Corso. You could ride this thing out for another 20 years and you could be in your 90s saying goodbye to, an SEC football stadium. I don't think that's a crazy, trajectory that's out there. But this other pathway is potentially beckoning or intriguing to you.
It is very intriguing. I am thinking about it constantly. And that's difficult to do, Clay, as you're talking about college football.
Yeah.
20 hours a week debating Stephen A. Smith, as you well know. I mean, you're sitting there talking to Stephen A. Smith, and as you're waiting for your turn, you're thinking, I wonder if I should move forward on this. So it's been going on for a couple of days, or if not weeks, and it's just hard to chisel it down to make an educated decision. But to say I'm considering it, of course, yes.
Okay, there you go. You can check out the full interview with Clay and Finebaum at outkick.com. It's a fascinating interview, and, who knows? If you're going to do it, you might as well do it. I mean, look, I would imagine that most people in Finebaum's shoes, like me, are just tired of being bullshitted. I mean, it's just astounding. Dude sleeps, has sex with, whatever, a white man, Don Lemon, and he's telling us all how white men are broken. Well, not him. Pritzker, the big fat-ass governor, is now trying to tell us, oh, by the way, it's the Republicans that are calling people fascists. We're not, it's just astounding to me that you can just sit there, look at us, and lie. But it's also astounding, I don't know what the hell you're hiring in New York City to be your mayor. We got the greatest country in the world, and we're trying to F it up. That's exactly what we are trying to F it up. Biden tried to F it up by bringing in every criminal that he could so that he could get reelected, he and his people. That got stopped. Trump's coming in. Oh, he's a felon. Okay, great. I don't care about any of it. I didn't even care that Biden was brain dead. Just do right for the country. But nobody does. Nobody on that side. I mean, it's insanity every single day. And Jimmy Pitaro trying to tell anybody, anytime, anywhere, that ESPN doesn't stifle conservative voices. Here you have one of the voices that, number one, in this interview, apparently, he didn't want to tell anybody he voted for Trump because he knows how that goes at ESPN with Patero. Now, you got to understand something. Guy like me that's doing college basketball, and it was me and Billis, the two highest profile guys, fine. We deal with maybe one or two higher up than our initial boss, Seisler, or that other clown, Schiffman. All right, maybe we get above that to Norby Williamson. But Finebaum deals right there with Patero. That's the structure. So that's Patero telling him, yeah, we do not censor, we do not stifle conservative views. And he's the one that did. It's just the most amazing crap ever. And I want to thank my mother and my father. They didn't make a perfect person, but they made an honest one. And I just can't stand seeing all this crap. Yeah, I fly off the handle. Yeah, whatever. But I'm not going to sit there and tell you that Indiana shirt right here over my shoulder is green when it's red. Or I'm not going to tell you I got a full head of hair here. I mean, it's complete crap. And I'm not even on a political side. Or I wasn't until I saw this crap. How are people not smart enough to understand it? It's astounding. It's ridiculous. Anyway, check out the interview. I think you're really, really going to like it. Hey, for over 2 decades, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation has been there for our fallen and catastrophically injured first responders and military and Gold Star families. If a spouse dies or is catastrophically injured in the line of duty, the foundation will provide the surviving family members with a mortgage-free home. They provided over 1,500 mortgage homes, and now they promise to eradicate homelessness among the veteran population. Learn more about the foundation's mission impact and how you can help support our nation's heroes by visiting T2T.org. The woke NFL strikes again. They've named American-hating and anti-ICE musician Bad Bunny as this year's Super Bowl performer. Where do you come up with this? Why can't you? We have the greatest country in the history of the world, and we try to divide us as often as we can. It's almost like there's an internal plot. There's an internal plot to divide people. Earlier this month, this guy Bad Bunny, whatever the hell a Bad Bunny is, shared why he chose not to include any stops in the United States during his upcoming tour that begins in November. The 31-year-old was asked by ID magazine if his decision had anything to do with the deportations of illegals in the U.S., and he shared his thoughts. There are many reasons why I didn't show up in the U.S. None of them were out of hate. I performed there many times. All of the shows have been successful. All of them have been magnificent. I've enjoyed connecting with Latinos who have been living in the U.S., but there was an issue of like effing ICE could be outside my concert, and it's something that we talked about and very concerned about. All right. What I'm feeling goes beyond myself. It's for those who came before me, ran countless yards so I could come in and score a touchdown. This is for my people, my culture, my history. There you go. I mean, why do we got to do that? Seriously, Joe Concha is saying what a lot of people are saying. Bring in Metallica. All right, Santa Clara-based band. Here's what Concha had to say. Just going to predict this right now after the NFL caves and pulls Bad Bunny from the Super Bowl due to overwhelming backlash. He's vehemently pro-open borders and anti-ICE. Legacy media and Democrats will turn him into the next Jimmy Kimmel, guaranteed. Santa Clara, the home of the Super Bowl in February, is home of Metallica. Wouldn't that be a better choice? I don't know. I don't know that I need to see 10,000-year-old rockers moving it around. I saw Rod Stewart. He was great, but I don't know that he would excite for the Super Bowl. I saw Cheap Trick. They were old but funny, flipping off the crowd and having a good time. Yeah, maybe Metallica would be awesome. Whatever. I don't care. But why does everything have to be division? I mean everything. You can't swing a dead cat without catching a lie from somebody in a public forum. You can't swing a dead cat without somebody like Jimmy Patero or like Roger Goodell that's trying to divide us with lies, bullshit, or bringing on performers that do, in fact, divide the country. Why can't you do that? Why does it have to be that way? Again, You see what's happening in our country, and it's not great. And I'm not like one of these staunch, I got to fall in love with Donald Trump. Hey, if Donald Trump doesn't get prices down, which he's not going to be able to do, then he's full of shit as a leader. I mean, he said he was running on, I'll get prices down. Oh, really? What? I think I just paid $172 for a Big Mac the other day. Talking about. Titans quarterback Cam Ward should shut up. Now, just shut up. Yeah, people are saying he cares more than his head coach. No, he doesn't. He's an immature little punk that has no idea what he's talking about. And his coach is actually trying, if he possibly can, to keep this a little bit on a professional level. We ask. Really? Is that English? What is that? We ask if I'm keeping it a buck. Shut up. You ever hear Tom Brady, Peyton Manning talk like that? Of course not. Doug Williams, I'll go black so you guys are okay. Doug Williams, of course not. We ask. No, you're a child. And if I'm a lineman, I'm beating the shit out of him, tell you the truth. I mean, I don't need some rookie quarterback that hasn't proven nothing. And the only reason he was a first pick in a draft because his draft class happened to fall in such a way that everybody pretty much stunk. I don't need this punk-ass kid telling me I'm ass. You know, people say he's brutally honest. No, he's not. He's stupid. No, he's just stupid. We ass. Really? We ass. No, you ass. You're the quarterback. You're the $1 million baby. What are you doing? Why are you throwing it into the dirt? And that he himself played like ass. Yeah, okay. Great. Stick to that. I don't want to hear about any linemen. I don't want to hear anything about grown-ass men from you. I'd be like doing what they did in what's that movie in jail with Burt Reynolds, Longest Yard? Hey, man, go in and hit him right in the frickin' head, this punk. Brian Callahan, everybody's saying he's the worst head coach hire ever. I don't know whether he is or not. Maybe he's got an organization that's crap. He was hired for a reason. I mean, everybody all of a sudden says that Mike Vrabel should be back being the coach. They fired him for a reason. Yeah, I don't know. I disagree with this. Cam Ward sounds more upset about losing than the head coach does. No, he doesn't. Cam Ward sounds like a little child. Cam Ward sounds like a little, petulant bitch. Look, if he's Dan Marino, or if he's Steve Young, or if he's Tom Brady, or if he's Lamar Jackson, or he's Patrick Mahomes, or he's any quarterback that has done anything, then maybe we can listen to it. But he sounds like a little punk. And frankly, I swear to you, were I a big, strong, stupid lineman, I'd let him get his ass kicked. And then say it again, punk. Say it again. Call me ass again. You want to see ass? I'll give you ass. So here's this idiot's rant.
I mean, if we keeping a buck right now, we ass. So we 0-4. We have this one. We got nothing to lose. We dropped a quarter of our fucking games, and we've yet to do anything. So we have to lock in. Especially myself on the offensive line, from the defensive line, from the special teams to all three faces. We have to play together. We have not played together this year yet, and that's just something that we want to preach about it every day. Every day we got to do better, and we're doing that. But it has to show up on Sundays. It hasn't showed up yet, but it got to show up next week.
Yeah, well, you talk about yourself. I'm telling you, if I was an offensive lineman, I'd smack him right in the head and say, okay, ask this, let's go. I mean, why do I got to listen to some shit from some guy that hasn't wiped his ass? I mean, didn't make the college football playoff, I don't think. Maybe he did and got beat. I mean, what has he actually done that he's going to call out some adults? We all say, oh, man, he really cares. No, he doesn't. He's an immature child that doesn't know his ass from third base. And probably a guy who never had his ass kicked. Probably a guy that always had a mouth, ran away with his friends. I mean, look, this is something I know. When you come at others in a professional setting, you're actually jeopardizing their paycheck. You're the freaking quarterback. You're the number one guy. You're the guy that's had the big mouth the entire summer, and now you're going to call other people out when you haven't done shit? No, That wouldn't settle with me, and I don't know one single player that I ever played with or coached that would be like, oh, yeah, he's right. No. He's asked how he felt he played personally, and this is what all punks do right here.
You think you played personally?
Ass.
Yeah, great. Wow, okay. Yeah, that's my leader. Some guy that can't even speak. Some guy that can't put coherent sentences together. Yes. Oh, okay. What does that mean? Make you a tough guy? Now, I mean, imagine Mahomes doing that. Imagine any of these guys doing that. Peyton Manning threw 31 interceptions, got knocked on his ass, and went 3-13. But he was a leader, established himself as a leader, not some little guy that can't speak. Yes. Oh, wow. That's intimidating. The incarnate word guy. Yes. Oh, well, really? No, I tell you what, man. I watched that, and I thought to myself, just no chance am I following that. None. Zero. Zip. Nada. Hey, you've been sacked more times than anybody. Get rid of the ball. You've been sacked more times than anybody. How about you make the proper protections at the line? You've been sacked more times than anybody. How about you understand, hey, I better check this down immediately. Throw it away. Instead of getting up in a press, go, yes. Stupid. And anyone that's ever played a coach understands that. And everybody's going to protect him because he's a billion-dollar baby. Here's Callahan. Callahan does not like our ex-colleague, Paul Kuharski, who asked this question.
Do you think this is a resilient and relentless football team?
I know what you're doing there, Paul. I know what you're doing. And I'm not going to answer that here right now.
Well, I mean, those are the themes that you've tried to catch on this football team. You're 20-some games in, and you're stuck.
I'm going to just compose myself here before I say something I regret. But, yes, I think this team is resilient. I think it is relentless. We haven't played good enough football, and I think those are two very distinct, different things. We have to execute at a better level. We have to coach better. That's really all I can say.
People are making a big deal about this. It took Liam Cohen 4 games to hit 3 wins as a Jags head coach. After 21 games, Callahan is 3-18. Yeah, well, this idiot has that quarterback. Callahan's got that quarterback, and before him, he had Will Levis. I mean, you say whatever you want, but everybody considered Trevor Lawrence a generational quarterback. Now, nobody's considered, was his name Will Levis, as anything, and it's been proven that this guy here, Cam Ward, can't find his own ass with 2 hands. Yeah, I don't care about their record. There's a reason. There's a reason that Trevor Lawrence was considered the best player, one of the best, one of them generational quarterbacks, and Cam Ward was considered an afterthought as a first pick because the draft was so shitty. Rory McIlory, I disagree with this either. I think Rory McIlory was absolutely right. Could not have been more right, ripping the fans at Bethpage Black. Could not have been more right. When you drop the gay slurs on him, when you throw things at his wife, I love every minute of what Rory McIlroy did. 100%. The people on the East Coast did what people on the East Coast did, which is embarrass themselves. My school, Indiana University, I said this 5-7 years ago, used to be a top 25 institution. Made a big push for lids, Long Island douchebags. Made a big push for Washington, D.C. folks, New York City kids. Now it's ranked 73rd and has a crime and drug problem unlike anything it's ever had. And now you open up, $750 tickets, and the majority of the crowd was 19 to 26-year-olds who's never had their ass kicked, who can sit behind a screen and comment on everything in the world safely knowing that they don't have to confront everybody and get the shit beat out of them. That's exactly who was in that crowd. I talked to numerous people, read numerous articles. That's who was in that crowd. And those punks thought it was okay to say whatever in the hell they wanted to say to people simply because they were playing a golf tournament. It was embarrassing for the United States. It was typical for New York City. It was typical for young punks. Again, nothing teaches you a better lesson than getting punched in the face. And not one of those punks that could afford on daddy's credit card a $750 ticket, I guarantee you, has ever been punched in the face. This was not, according to every account, a crowd full of rich old white dudes. This was a crowd full of millennials, entitled, douchebag, on daddy's dime, I don't want to work. Millennials who, again, go to Instagram, go to Twitter. They hide behind screens and call people the most vile things. Well, they did it in person. And the most beautiful thing about what Rory McIlory did, he stepped away from a shot, looked at a guy, told him to go F himself, and stuck it within 3 feet. That's what you do. That's the greatest satisfaction in sports. Not only feeling free enough, enraged enough to tell somebody to go F themselves, but then stick it, stiff. Where all Tommy Fleetwood had to do was look at the putt once and drill it. That's the best feeling you'll ever have. Ever. I did this one time. We were playing Antonio Gates and Kent State. They had just been to the Elite Eight the year before. They'd beaten us in a championship game. We're playing at Kent State. We're down 20 at half. They score the first 4 points of the second half. Guy behind me, literally behind me, Dakich, you suck, your team sucks, blah, 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 blah. He's just killing me. What am I going to say? Next thing you know, we're making a comeback. Hold on. It's 10-point lead, 10 minutes to go. Wait a second. 6-minute mark. Woo, we're down 4. Hold on. Under 30 seconds, one of my players, Jabari Maddox, hits 2 free throws with 8 seconds to go to make it a 4-point game. Actually, it's probably closer to 4 seconds to go. I call timeout. I get in the huddle. I tell my players, move. I look at this fat posse that never played anything. Hey, you want to meet me at? I mean, I just went. My players are like, oh, my God. Oh, my God. Here's Rory McIlory talking rightfully so about the immature stupidity of the lids, the Long Island douchebags, the millennials that have infected our lives in every way, shape, and form.
I don't think we should ever accept that in golf. I think golf should be held to a higher standard than what was, than what was seen out there this week. Golf has the ability to unite people. Golf teaches you very good life lessons. It teaches you etiquette. It teaches you how to play by the rules. It teaches you how to respect people. And, sometimes this week we didn't see that. So, no, this should not be what is acceptable in the Ryder Cup. But, we will be making sure to say to our fans in Ireland in 2027 that, what happened here this week is not acceptable. And it's, for me, it's, come and support your home team. Come and support your team. I think if I was an American, I would be annoyed that I didn't hear a lot of shouts for Scotty today, but I heard a lot of shouts against me. And it's like, support your players. That's the thing. So, look, it was a rough week for all of us. But at the same time, we shut them up by our performance and how we played, and we tried to, I chirped back a few times because it got to me a few times, but we tried to handle everything that came our way with class and poise, and for the most part, I felt like we did that.
Yeah, you're not going to be perfect, and myself, I am engineered to shout back. I'm engineered to go back at. You can only take so much. I mean, a guy dropped a homophobic slur on him, walking from me to him. Dude throws drinks at his wife. I mean, I can only imagine all the stuff that was said, and you can take it for a while. People are saying, well, he fired back. Of course he did. He's an adult male with the great American penis. He's not a skinny jean bearded little pussy out there who's never had his ass beat. No, don't even try it. Justin Rose and Shane Lowry speak out again on the behavior directed toward McIlroy's wife.
Erica's fine. She is a very, very strong woman. She handled everything this week with class and poise and dignity like she always has, and I love her, and we're going to have a good time celebrating tonight.
I actually had no idea that Erica had a beer thrown at her yesterday. So fair play to Erica. She didn't bring that to the team room. We didn't make that a big deal. That's news to me. That says a lot about the strength of Erica and everybody in this team, that
I was out there
So
for 2 days with Erica McIlory, and the amount of abuse that she received was astonishing. And the way she was out there supporting her husband and supporting her team was unbelievable, and kudos to her for that.
Go on, Erica.
See, these guys are so cool. These guys are so connected. Now, the other side's worried about who fires up the crowd. So what? These guys genuinely care for each other. And Keegan Bradley opened his mouth, and Keegan Bradley was the worst captain that I've ever seen. If you are a coach out there, a broadcaster, go get Keegan Bradley's agent, because there are some out here that are saying that Keegan Bradley should be brought back. Look at Shane Lowry. We're going to go to Bethpage to kick the effing, okay, really? Again, Keegan Bradley thinking that swearing makes him a tough guy. You play golf, son. And Bradley, when he said that, actually said, yeah, I'll catch some backlash on this. Well, yeah, you got to go win. Your team didn't play well. Here's Team Europe celebrating with fans. It's just awesome. United States guys would be making sure that, I don't know, they've got their shoe brand out there or their hat. It was pure joy. It was amazing. I love the Golf Channel on radio, but I was listening this morning, and people have no idea what actually happened here. Luke Donald has created, and the parents of these players have created a love for one another, a love for golf, an intensity with each other, and a caring. Singing happy birthday to Freddie Fleetwood, Tommy's son. Talking about Erica McIlroy. You could genuinely see the love. While United States players were like, can I hear ya? Let's go. I mean, United States players celebrated. I watch this all the time. United States players celebrated with each other with the fans or towards the fans to get everybody pumped up than they did with each other when they had a big win. I mean, it's like watching little girls broadcast. These little girls broadcast women's softball on ESPN. The United States was like feelings. Oh, man, he's so fired up. He's getting the crowd. And you know what? The Europeans were about each other. We're about, this is special to us. Luke Donald said, we are going to make this the best week ever for these guys. Think about that. Just think about that for a minute. Man. That's pretty strong. I wish I'd have done that. I wish I'd have thought to do that when I was coaching. That's pretty good. All right. We'll be right back. Why I watched it. I do, too. I never lie on this show. The Josh Pate College Football Show, I do. Because Josh has opinions, and they're informed opinions. He doesn't say things like, I find it interesting. Fuck that. I find it ridiculous, idiotic, or stupid. When people, Josh, say, I find it interesting, don't be passive-aggressive. That's what I like about you. You're never passive-aggressive. And by the way, is Indiana, let's just be aggressive here, the greatest team in college football, and Fernando Mendoza, well, whoever that quarterback is at Oregon, that's the Heisman Trophy battle in a couple weeks.
Let me tell you what I think about Indiana, Dan. I find them interesting. I find them very interesting. I find them extremely interesting. All right, now let's take a stand. That game at Oregon's the one everyone's got circled. I've circled it. I'm looking at going out there next week. To my knowledge, I've never seen an Indiana game in person. And now certainly they've given you a reason to go watch them in person or turn on the TV or whatever. Look, you talked about Fernando Mendoza, the quarterback that Cignetti got. You know how embarrassing it has to be for people at Auburn, for example, where I think we're all in the understanding they've got much more of their pick in the transfer portal than Indiana does. And so they go and they choose Jackson Arnold, and their offense can't even start. Like, they can't even turn the engine over. And meanwhile, at Indiana, Cignetti 2 years in a row now has gone and, well, he brought in his guy, but then, all right, Rourke's gone, so he just goes and gets Mendoza out of Cal. And I would say they may be better this year. The offense may even be better this year. It's early. I understand all that. But if you have a big year at Indiana,
what's supposed to happen, what conventional wisdom tells you is either it was because you just hit the lottery with some NFL guys and they're all off to the draft, or your guys are going to get rated in the portal. And instead, Cignetti's just like, I don't care. I'm a winner. Google me, all that stuff, which is laughable, but it's also true. And so there's a lot of validity to it. And he just wins. And I think about, like you're talking about it within the framework of Indiana. I'm thinking about it within the framework of, man, like, what is it like for a Penn State fan to watch that? What's it like for a Clemson fan to watch that when we should have all the baked-in advantages in the world and we got all this returning production and that's what they look like and this is what we look like?
I'm going to give you 2 words. Todd Wagner. People think that Indiana is broke or poor or whatever. Todd Wagner's mother and my mother, best of friends. Todd Wagner made more money in the broadcast.com deal than Mark Cuban did. They were best of friends. They owned MUZZLES. They ran out on it. They went to Dallas. Todd Wagner, quiet partner, made more, bigger deal. He was the science. Cuban was the front man. Todd Wagner lived a quiet life, and then Indiana got both Cuban and Todd Wagner to pay a lot of money for a lot of players. Indiana, they're going to be hard to beat if they want to keep somebody because of those 2 guys. It's kind of fascinating what football brings out in people. People think Cuban is a basketball guy. People at Indiana for years have begged football to get good, myself included. Todd Wagner, big boy, he's the guy, along with Cuban. A lot of money at Indiana.
So the Oklahoma State job's open right now. Trust me, there's a connection here. So what you're saying when you say, man, people have begged football to be good, so there's a reason why these financial tentacles can get activated. Well, that's sort of what people are saying at Arkansas because they know they got money in Northwest Arkansas. They just want to get it activated or it doesn't matter. You're seeing it happen at Texas Tech. All right, so Texas Tech activated their financial tentacles in the form of Cody Campbell, who's just a billionaire that happens to really love college football. Well, at Oklahoma State, the inverse had happened. There were people withholding money because they didn't like Mike Gundy. And so they sort of held that piggy bank hostage. And the question now is, do you have those 2 or 3 big names that if they get their coach are just willing to turn those pockets inside out? Because now the talk around the water cooler is, well, we could kind of do what Texas Tech is doing. But the low-key part's what you're talking about, Indiana. Because I've heard more people around the South compare themselves to Indiana over the past week than I had the past 30 years of my life combined. Because now people are starting to talk. Now that they've had success, they've started to try and explain the success, and they've realized what you just said, which is Indiana's low-key spending more than a lot of the SEC teams are. We can't have that happen. That's a bad perception hit for us.
Yeah. Do you buy, speaking of that, and if so, why, that you mentioned Arkansas, the AD just came out and said Pittman never had a chance, not enough money. Isn't that more of, that's a little bit of an indictment of the AD. How does it work, Josh?
I think that is really a pitch to the next guy. Because if you just try and pitch the next pool of candidates on Arkansas is what it is, it's whatever. But having said that, I don't think he's lying per se. If he was lying, there wouldn't be an above and beyond. There wouldn't be another pool of resource that you could dip into. There is. The big indictment on Arkansas has been, it doesn't really matter if you got Walmart and Tyson Chicken and J.B. Hunt in your backyard. That's just like a talking point if they're not actually infusing your athletic department or your NIL coffers with cash. So that's, it seems, the pitch up there. Hunter Yurachek, the AD you're talking about, and a lot of the administrative types up there are kind of floating that out there. Oh, Sam was good. He's one of us. We probably didn't give him enough to succeed. And then the unspoken part is supposed to be, but the next guy will be given every resource imaginable. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. I know I've talked to some agents who have candidates who may very well be coveted by Arkansas for that job, and that's their number one question. Their number one question is how smart or how aware are you as Arkansas about the current landscape? I could say the same for the UCLA job. I could say the same for the Virginia Tech job. There's just this blind assumption by fans that everyone who's running an athletic department knows what they're doing. And that's not true. Not true at all. You know this way better than I do. What actually happens is sometimes there's this very incestuous nature wherein people have not ventured out of the walls of the athletic department. It's like Shawshank, like they don't even know what the outside world is like. And what the outside world is like in the NIL revenue share era is sharing revenues the baseline. Sharing revenues like you and I breathing oxygen. We got to do that just to live. But yet when you're talking as an agent who has Dan Dakich, head coach, capable of taking this job, when your agent is talking to these folks and the first thing you want to know is how competitive am I going to be able to be there? They're getting answers like, well, we pay our players, man. We're doing rev share here now. And it just shows this total complete obtuseness, to use another Shawshank line, of the actual world where revenue share is like the baseline. That's like waking up in the morning. You got to tell me how involved, how infused with cash are we from those names you just keep spouting off to impress me. That's what they got to answer at Arkansas, but that's also what they got to answer at Virginia Tech. At UCLA, you got to answer that above and beyond. How much is it going to hurt me to be number 2 in my own town, number 2 sporting-wise on my own campus, and have to pay for cost of living in Los Angeles?
Oh, man, Steve Alford was my college teammate and friend, and when he was the head coach at UCLA, he's like, damn, we never thought of this when John Wooden was winning championships. Huh, this looked kind of easy, but to your point, revenue sharing it's just a price. It's just the price of admission. Let me go on the field. You win a game, and maybe you win because of a reason, whatever. But I thought, reports of Alabama's demise seem to be greatly exaggerated, at least to me. Am I wrong about that? Where are you at with Alabama and DeBoer?
Yeah, I had a lot that I wanted to see Saturday, because I didn't want to write them off. Man, I picked them to win the national title. So if anything, I'm rooting for them not to fail. I'm rooting for them to succeed. But I don't think it was unfair watching that Florida State game to question the competitive character of the program a little bit. Because you had now seen sort of a body of work, whether it be the Vanderbilt game on the road last year, the Oklahoma game on the road last year, the bowl game against Michigan, and then early on, the Florida State game. There is pattern now forming of them going on the road, bunch of penalties, offensive line, just the production was disproportionate. It was detached, road versus home. So, you got beat by Florida State, which puts your back against the wall. You're in kind of wounded animal mode. You smoke UL Monroe, you smoke Wisconsin. But if someone's doubting Alabama, that's not proving anything. What you do to prove something is you go on the road against Georgia. So I'm telling you, I was down there Saturday. I stood on the field the whole game. Place was insane. And I don't know operationally, you can include the latter years of the Nick Saban tenure. I don't know that I've ever seen Alabama just look as razor sharp, efficient, and dialed in as they did Saturday night. So you, of course, saw them win the game. Well, then I start to think to myself, when you lose a game, it sucks. You can either grow from it or you can get buried by it. And I think we live in a world now in college football where no one's going undefeated. Okay, so everyone's going to taste their blood at some point during the season. It probably ends up benefiting the elite programs that they get that stuff out of the way earlier because they learn things they need to know about themselves, and then you find out what they're made of. So I think we just found out what Alabama's made of. But that doesn't guarantee anything. They got to go beat Vanderbilt Saturday. If they do that, Dan, they got to go on the road and face a rested Missouri team the next week. But at the very least, I don't think I need to talk about competitive character questions with them. Now what we get to watch is how does Georgia respond? Because they got a ton of questions too, not about competitive character. I don't question that about them. I just question whether the team has the top end gear that the Georgia teams of the past few years have had.
Proctor's running at you. You're a tough guy. I'm not. And I make a business decision, and I run to the sideline and stand behind my coach. You're taking his big ass on, aren't you? That's one of the great pictures of all time, by the way, that big Proctor kid carrying the ball. That's unbelievable, that thing. You weren't standing in that sideline, were you? You weren't in that area?
Right there. It was 5 yards from me. So he ran right by me. I put the video up on social. It was really amazing. A lot of times I don't know if people are aware of this. So when they build those football fields, to build the drainage system in under the field, it means the field's elevated a little bit. So it's not like walking around your front yard where the grass is really attached to the earth. All right, so these fields are kind of on platforms to a certain extent. What happens if you go watch offensive line warm-up drills sometimes, you can feel the ground move a little bit. You can feel vibrations in the ground a little bit. I don't normally feel it during a game, but I was standing close enough to him where when he caught that ball and ran by us, you could feel the ground. Yeah. You could feel the natural surface shift a little bit. But I got to tell you, there was a play earlier in that game where I think it was their tailback may have caught a screen or something like that. Proctor got out lead of the play, and he was high kneeing down the sideline 30 yards during that, and that wasn't even with him having the ball. So if you want to see his athleticism, you go watch that. I also would encourage people on the replay to watch. They split him out from left tackle 5 or 6 other times during the game, and what I'm telling you that for is to tell you, I don't know that was just a one-time novelty, let's have some fun with him because he got under 360 pounds type deal. That's an actual card they could pull out several more times this year.
Yeah, that looked real. That that didn't look gimmicky. Let's put it that way. That SEC. We got any frauds in the SEC in terms of making the college football playoff?
I've been very cautious around LSU, and I was saying this 2 weeks ago. I was saying that I don't know that there were some flaws with them that were always apparent to me. Let me put it that way. I got roasted by a bunch of my LSU buddies because I was pointing them out after they won games. And as you know, you're not allowed to point out flaws after wins. You got to wait until someone loses to point them out. So now they lost, and everyone wants to point them out. Well, they can't run the ball. They hadn't been able to run the ball. And it's so inexcusable to me that a couple of years ago they had Jaden Daniels winning the Heisman, but it doesn't matter. They wasted that season because they couldn't play defense. Well, to their credit, they got the defense fixed. That's one of the best defenses in the country now. Well, now they can't run the ball. And so it's like there are always 11 holes in the dam, and we only got 10 fingers. So every time we plug one, there's a new leak, which is the entire story of competitive sports, and I understand that. There are just some things that I think should be constants at LSU. Good DB play and good running backs and offensive linemen, those are things that are in your backyard. You don't even need to leave the state to go get those guys. And it just boggles my mind how, of all things, those could be the impediments to them competing for a playoff spot.
When you look at a Florida, is there any way Billy Napier? I mean, can he keep his job given where he is right now?
I will not say totally no, only because everybody down there. Let me preface it like this: everyone I talk to swears he's losing his job, which is no different than this time last year. Then when you say that's what you guys told me last year, they say no. Trust us, it's real this time.
This is different.
All right, but he still has his job right now, and I know they play Texas Saturday. So I ask this: what happens if they beat Texas by 10 Saturday? What happened? Do you still tell me the following Monday, oh, he's gone? No, you wouldn't. So to me, a guy's not fired until he's fired. Like Pittman's fired because he got fired on Monday. I don't believe Billy is fully gone until I see the headline that he's gone and the coaching search is underway.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Is Tennessee the biggest disappointment?
In what way?
Well, everybody, when you live here or you're in this outkick, they're supposed to be national championship. They're supposed to be national champions. That's what they're supposed to be. Nico left. We didn't like him anyway. It's like when I was at Indiana and a player would transfer. We'd be like, yeah, we didn't like him anyway, but he was really good. Making the playoffs, being a top 5 team, that kind of thing.
I'm actually on the other side of the coin. It may be because I had lower expectations for Tennessee. I've been really, really impressed by them. I mean, I think they can be a playoff team. So I also think if you consider now what was supposed to be what would hamstring them, which is a new quarterback so late. Well, Joey's played pretty well. So now I start to think other side of the coin. Well, if he's playing well now, this should be the low end of his potential. Like, he should continue to ascend throughout the year. I think they will get healthier in the secondary. Look, that Mississippi State win they had Saturday was a gut check. No one's paying attention to it because there were so many other big games. But, man, State's not a bad team. They got actual SEC guys in their front seven now, and no one cares because it's Mississippi State. But I'm telling you, that's the kind of game where you don't notice it in the moment, but you look back on it early November and say, man, we're in position now to maybe do some stuff. Whoo, that Mississippi State game, that was way bigger than we realized at the time. So I've actually been happy with Tennessee.
Hey, is it time? Like, I figure Indiana. I'm using Indiana, but I'm using I can use anyone now. At what point, because Indiana's got to go to Oregon, got to go to Penn State. Let's say they get 2 losses. At what point should fans start paying attention all across the country? 2 losses, you think somebody get in with 3? Is it time, even though it's early, but we're having some pretty good activity, is it time for, fans that are maybe involved to start looking at this thing? Like a Notre Dame?
The Notre Dame thing's going to be funny. Okay, so the whole talk right now is, I already got 2 losses. Even if they run the table, where's their quality win going to come from? I know that sounds good, but it's not Halloween yet. In fact, it's not even October yet. I think you know as well as I do. Man, if they're sitting there 10 wins, and that means they've run off 10 straight, and we're searching for qualified candidates, because I think it's going to be a car wreck in late November, Notre Dame's not getting kept out. You would have to show me that to prove to me they're going to be kept out. My question is, how many 3-loss teams are going to get in? I think a couple of them are going to get in. I don't know from which conference, but I think a couple of them are going to get in.
All right, last thing, Josh. You talked about UCLA. This is going back, I don't even know. I guess Urban left Florida. He says, hey, man, we were talking. He sends me the offer that UCLA made to him to be the head football coach, whatever year that would have been. I think it was before Ohio State. I don't know. And it was unbelievable. I mean, homes and loans and, I talked about this yesterday. On the surface, UCLA, on the surface, Oklahoma State, but UCLA should be a really good job. It's not. Is a school like Nebraska on the surface a really good job, but it's not? Is Florida, because they got rid of Mullen, they got rid of this guy, is that on the surface a really good job, but it's not?
What I'm looking for, if I'm going to take a head job, is a couple of things are non-negotiables for me. I don't want to have to fight people tooth and nail over every dime. So I want to have financial backing. I don't mean for a salary. I mean for salary pool and for roster building.
Right.
But the other thing that I don't want to do is I don't want to have to prove it in order to get engagement. Like if I go to Nebraska, I know they're selling that place out no matter what. At UCLA, you got to fight. You got to go do promotional events. You got to paper the campus and try and convince people, hey, come to the game. And you're fighting an uphill battle there, whereas down in the South or at Nebraska or wherever, it's the other way around. You almost try and resist it because you get too much attention. I would rather say, whoa, boy, than giddy up. I don't want to be saying giddy up constantly. That's not what I want to do.
No, I get it. Hey, I've kept you too long, man. Love talking to you. You got a great life. I feel like Dick Vitale.
I love it.
Awesome.
I love it. I love it.
Appreciate you, brother. Thank
Appreciate
you.
it,
Just 2 ball guys having a chat. Leave us alone. That's it. Just talking some ball. Josh, I love listening to him. I do, because he is definite. He doesn't do that bullshit. Well, I find it very interesting. Bah. I got 5 guys, 5, not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 that are announcers that I want to see in politics. We'll be right back.
Football's finally back. So's the...
Gentlemen, boys and girls, a lot of people ask me this. Who would you like to see from the sports media world become a politician? So our brilliant staff asked me, and I gave them my answer. Number 5, Maria Taylor. Maria Taylor's hot. I work with Maria. I don't know if she'd be any good, but she's hot. I mean, look, I don't want a bunch of ugly-ass people up there. So I went with the 5th one as the hot one. I did. She is. Beautiful woman, fun to be around. I mean, who gives a rat's ass what anybody's policies are? Just close the border, make sure the inflation doesn't go crazy, and, of course, keep gas prices down and my 401k up. I don't care. Anybody can do that. I like Maria. I do. I think she does a good job. I don't know what happened with her and whatever that girl's name is, Leslie Nichols or Trina Nichols or Eddie Nichols or Rachel Nichols. I don't know, and I don't care. Don't matter to me. But I like Maria. So if I got to have somebody up there talking to me every day, I don't need some troll. You know, I don't need Mitch McConnell up there or Hillary Clinton or some goofy-ass Kamala Harris. The only thing that Kamala Harris had going for her is that occasionally she could look hot, and then all of a sudden when you heard her speak, she didn't. Maria Taylor isn't one of those that when she speaks, you think she's less hot. She just, I like her. She's smart. Number 4, Mike Tirico. My boy here would be great because he's really, really prepared. This would probably piss him off, but I don't care. He's Donald Trumpian in how hard he works. I'm not sure the boy sleeps. I said to him, hey, my man, Tariqs, we're sitting there listening to you the night before Notre Dame, Alabama on a Monday night. And I don't know what time the game got over. But myself, Bart Fox, and Scott Johnson, the next day on Tuesday, he was doing the national championship game, Alabama, Notre Dame. And on Tuesday, we're at the shoot-around in the Breslin Center at like 10 o'clock in the morning. And who beat us there? Tariqs. We're like, yo, dog. He's my guy. He's really smart, has an incredible attention to detail, and a passion. Now, I don't know what that passion is, if it's for politics or not, but I know this. If it became that way, he should probably be number 1. Nah, he probably should. Articulate, can get his point across to anybody, doesn't play any kind of racial nonsense, plays fun, facts, has a great sense of humor. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, he should run. I'm listening to Finebaum, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know. You got to have a Southern sensibility. Tirico, Tirico would be a great candidate. Like, he's terrific at what he does. He works hard. Somebody told me this. I never really noticed this. Somebody said he did not think, we never talked about this, his voice was strong enough for the big call, and he worked on it. I don't know. And the dude's made so much money, he can fund his own campaign. Number 3, Sean McDonough. You know you love Sean McDonough. Strong personality. See, at this day and age, we need a strong personality. The only thing about McDonough is that he's from Massachusetts. I've never considered him a masshole, but McDonough's one of those guys that isn't afraid to share his opinion, be strong about his opinion. However, ask questions and understand he's not the smartest guy in the room. I was with Sean the day he got fired from Monday Night Football. We were at dinner with a couple other producers. And Sean was heartbroken, absolutely devastated. The financial sentiment he got was great. But as we sat there, it was interesting. He wasn't defensive. He wasn't insecure. He was inquisitive. What's next? Where are we going? What do you think? No, I like working with Sean. I like Sean. I think he'd be a great politician because, well, he would use smart people that are around him to become better and to make our country better. And I legitimately think he cares. Like, I think he's read the Bible like 10 times. I do. So there you go. Number 2, Jason Benetti. Jason Benetti would be the empathy candidate. Now, Jason Benetti, probably a little too liberal. His politics and my politics are pretty much 180 degrees, but we're good friends. Unbelievable sense of humor, unbelievable communicator, the ability to make fun of himself and attract other people to him is uncanny. Now, it really is. Obviously, articulate as hell. He could talk to any group of people about any subject. The only guy that I know that when he had a weekend off, got in a plane, and I believe it was Amsterdam, it could have been Sweden, flew there to go to a couple museums. I mean, when you're single, you can do that kind of stuff, and he did it. He's got one of those minds. It's like a beautiful mind. But all I can see is when, listen to this, he has, what has he got? Cerebral palsy. So he can't walk very well. He's very meek. One eye goes this way, one eye goes that way. And, of course, I make fun of him for it. I'm like, where are you looking? Look over here. And, he punches me. But anyway, he wanted to play in the marching band. So, okay, what do you want to play? Clarinet? Nuh-uh. Tuba. Well, you can't march. I don't care. I'm going to be in the Homewood Flossmoor Marching Band. Homewood Flossmoor is a massive school, maybe at the time the biggest school in the entire state of Indiana, or Illinois, excuse me. I guess, according to Jason, the band director, put him at 50-yard line with a tuba marching in place. Love that guy. I don't like him. I love him. And my number one pick would be Fran Fraschilla. You know him as a college basketball expert. But what you don't know is he was a political science major that knows more about the history of politics in this nation, Democrat, Republican, independent, whatever you want, than anybody you see on TV. It's really sad, actually, that ESPN does what ESPN does, which is squash conservative views. If they allowed him to do what he does, which is espouse rational, common sense political views, ESPN would be a much better place. Notice, you never really see him on any of the shows, do you? You never really see him with Get Up. You never really see him, First Take. You never really see him on anything. And I don't know if that's Fran not wanting to do it, too busy. He's on the West Coast time, Mountain time, living in Colorado Springs, or frankly, if they just don't want him because they know he's a conservative. But you never see him on those shows. But take my word for it. He is the smartest man, woman, child, and there are a lot of children on that network, politically, than anybody. The history, current events, you name it, he knows it, but you'll never hear it. Because, frankly, he's too smart. Has too good a living, loves what he's doing. Next thing you know, he knows not to step out of the conservative nature. I got to tell you, I love this out of Rex Ryan. See, I am all about free Shedeur Sanders. Personally, I'm somewhat, not really, kind of, more yes than no or more yes than ambivalent Browns fan. When I lived in Bowling Green, it was legendary. They came over, the Browns did, and stole our colors. That's true. Dwight Perry had a color scheme. The Browns stole it. Good for them. I don't know why you would want brown and orange, but they did. Anyway, so I pay attention to the Browns more than, most other teams. It's time to get some energy into this Jackson Dart style. It's time. Joe Flacco looked 172 years old and disinterested. I can't get down with that if I'm a Browns fan. Dylan Gabriel is in the worst seat in football. If he comes in, people are going to say, I don't want him, I want the other guy. So you might as well free Shedeur Sanders. Now, Rex Ryan's not having it. Rex Ryan says Shedeur Sanders is an embarrassment over his recent comments. And in case you missed it, here's the comment Shedeur Sanders said that has Rex all in a foot-sniffing tizzy.
That's not nothing, in my place to answer. That's nothing I can't not answer, but I know for sure I'm not. I know if you see the quarterback play in the league right now, I know I'm capable of doing better than that.
I said this yesterday. He sounds like a little high school kid, and frankly, you don't want to sound like a little high school kid if you're the quarterback. That's what that Cam Ward sounds like. Yes. Now, don't sound like, you got to sound like the adult in the room. You do. I mean, you can be boring, you can be exciting, you can be loud, you can be quiet, whatever. You got to be the adult in the room. Well, Rex Ryan, who I absolutely love, he went off a little bit on Shedeur. I'm sure Shedeur's daddy is going to call Rexy and say something about God. Here's Rex Ryan on Shedeur Sanders.
Stefanski is one of an outstanding coach, all right? But why the hell isn't he putting Shedeur Sanders? We're all waiting to see the Shedeur Sanders be the guy or Gabriel, whatever. Something's missing. Something's missing with this kid. This kid talks. He runs his mouth like I could be a starting quarterback with his arms crossed like this. Get your ass in the front row and study and do all that. If I know, the whole league knows. Quit being an embarrassment that way. You got the talent to be the quarterback. You should be. You should be embarrassed that you're not the quarterback now.
We'll see if they make a change there.
Boy, that's pretty good. I mean, that is a coach speaking right there. Fan may say, yeah, he's right. And I may say free Shedeur Sanders because ultimately I don't care. But what you heard Rex Ryan do right there is exactly how a coach thinks. I guarantee you somebody in that Browns organization either got to Rex Ryan or Rex got to them and told them, yeah, he ain't working that hard. Yeah, he's talented. Boy, we've seen it, but we can't trust him. Because I say it all the time, if I'm going to play you, then I've got to trust you. I'm putting nobody in the game that I don't trust, and particularly at quarterback. I go back to what happened with the Colts and that Adonai Mitchell. Would you put him back in a game? Would you trust him? Drop the football before the goal line. Cost 7. Holding penalty, silly. Didn't need to. Cost 7. You cost your team 14 points last year through a massive pick with a horrendous decision. I don't know, man. The number one thing you do as a coach is you trust. And it's not just trust in terms of a play. It's trust in terms of this. How are you practicing? How are you preparing? How are you interacting? Who trusts you to be their leader? That's a big deal in sports, man. Actually, if you really want to know the truth, that's what coaching is. Getting and making damn sure that I can trust the people coming into the game, or else I ain't putting them in the game. I don't understand all this stuff. Harry Potter books are all the rage. And J.K. Rowling, who obviously is the author, she said enough is enough and is firing back on her young co-stars, Emma Watson, the young co-star. That's, the one that her characters helped make globally famous for her role at Hermione, I don't know the name, as the pair have been at odds for years over Rowling's stance on transgender people. Watson last week suggested she was ready to make amends with the author over past spats in which things got heated. Okay, here's Rowling. Like other people who've never experienced adult life uncushioned by wealth and fame, Emma has so little experience in real life, she's ignorant of how ignorant she is. Now, I got to tell you, if this mic could drop, that is an awesome statement. She's ignorant of how ignorant she is. Woo! I wasn't a multimillionaire at 14. I lived in poverty while writing the book that made Emma famous. She'll never need a homeless shelter. She's never going to be placed on a mixed-sex public hospital ward. I'd be astonished if she's been in a high street changing room since childhood. I don't know what that means. Her public bathroom is single occupancy and comes with a security man standing outside the door. Has she had to strip off a newly minted sex changing room at a council-run swimming pool? Oh, strip off in a newly mixed sex, meaning did she have to take off her clothes with a bunch of dudes that are saying they're women in a changing room in public? Is she ever likely to need a state-run rape crisis center that refuses to guarantee an all-female service? There you go. The greatest irony here is that had Emma not decided in her most recent interview to declare that she loves and treasures me, a change of tact I suspect she's adapted because she noticed full-throated condemnation of me is no longer quite as fashionable as it was, I might never have been this honest. Boy, isn't that true? All of a sudden, people are bending the knee that felt the need to crush the soul. No, it's pretty amazing, and good for J.K. Rowling. One of the things, as Davey and Nick and I were talking yesterday, J.K. Rowling ain't afraid, man. She will come at you strong. All right, I always wondered when I'd see the first 100-point football game, 100-0. Former Dallas Cowboys Super Bowl champ Alabama running back Sherman Williams, the head coach at Murphy High School in Alabama, is catching heat from fans after it was reported that he declined a second-half running clock against rival Williamson, only to end up losing 100-0 and creating national headline. Now, Murphy, well, hasn't won a game since 2023, October 20th. I wanted to run the clock, Antonio Coleman, the head coach at Williamson, told Alabama.com. I asked the ref. He said, okay. He asked me if I had a problem going to 8 minutes. I said no. He went to ask Sherman, and he said he didn't want to run the clock. How the hell coaches don't have their team prepared better to play a game in their division? There's no way that team can be that poorly equipped to get blown out like that. What the hell have coaches been coaching? That's what a fan said on Facebook. Murphy needs to forfeit the rest of the season's game and replace the whole football staff. It can't even be competitive. Why even play? Another fan. That's just ridiculous. Murphy used to be the best in the city, but the last few years have been awful. I don't see how they can keep blaming the coaches for losing if the players don't give 100%. I know they have the talent. Just saying. Yeah, well, a couple things here. Number one, if Sherman Williams, the coach, was trying to say, look, we're getting our ass beat, and we're going to play a full game, I commend that. I do. I commend that. Because I think personally, well, both would be really embarrassing, but I think personally it would be incredibly embarrassing to get your ass beat with a running clock. I guess nobody would pay attention to it. They would just pay attention to the scores. So what's the difference? You get beat 80-0 or 100-0. But at least you didn't have a running clock. At least you didn't have to have an excuse. You kept in there. But the other side of it is, I don't know this place, and not really my place to say, so I won't. Coach Williams has other problems, and that's a different deal. I have no idea. But part of me is like, you know what? Hey, got to tell you, if you are going to teach your kids to play regardless of the score, I ain't mad at you, Coach Williams. That standpoint, I ain't mad at you at all. In fact, I commend you. I don't think I could ever say, yeah, let's go to a running clock. Maybe I could. Maybe in an AAU game, something of that nature. But I don't think I ever could. I don't think so. AJ PIERZYNSKI is going to join us. I got my Cubs shirt on. Hope he doesn't beat me up. We'll be right back.
Football's finally
brings us two-time All-Star World Series champ at AJ PIERZYNSKI 11. AJ, I got to ask you, man. I got a lot of Mets fans in my ear. They live out in New York, Fox News, my producers, that kind of thing. What happened to the Mets? They were 20-some over 500. What happened here?
First of all, I don't know that I can come on the show with you wearing that shirt. So let's take that shirt off and we can have a real conversation.
No chance. Okay? No chance. It's a big day, big boy.
I know. Go Padres. Let's go Friars. Friar faithful. Let's go. Show up, Friars. That's all I'm asking for. Well, geez, what happened to the Mets? I don't know if we have enough time to get into what happened to the Mets this year. Their pitching just really crumbled. You know, the thing is everyone's like, oh, it wasn't like the Tigers who just kind of fell apart but still got in. This was a slow burn. This was like paper cuts, right? It was like lose 3, win 1, lose 3, win 1, lose 3, win 1. And slowly but surely they just kept creeping closer to 500. And at the end of the day, they just weren't good enough. But their pitching really struggled. Yeah, their offense wasn't bad. I know Soto had a nice year. Lindor was okay. Pete Alonso had a nice year. The bottom of their order didn't do a ton for them, but they weren't awful. And the bullpen, other than Edwin Diaz, kind of fell apart from overuse because they had to pitch so dang much because they were in the game in the 5th inning every game, it seemed like. You know, Kodai Senga's in AAA. Minaya didn't pitch a lot. And when he didn't pitch great. Peterson kind of fell apart down the stretch. They were counting on 3 rookies at the end of the year, and Sproat, McLean, and Tong. And so it just wasn't set up for – it seemed like it was set up for them to have a great year, but they're the Mets, right? And they kind of played in the middle of the pack in free agency. The Red Sox are in the playoffs. Who'd they get? Clay Buchholz, Garrett Crochet. And who did the Yankees go out and get? Max Fried after they lost Juan Soto, right? So they made moves that were big boy moves. The Mets are a big boy player. They want to be a big boy player. You got to go out and make the big boy moves. Maybe we'll see it, but they also have a GM who came from Milwaukee who's used to not playing in the deep end of the pool with the Sharks. He's used to kind of trying to tread water right in the middle, David Stearns. So we'll see what he does with all the money.
Reasonable for Met fans to want the manager, and you mentioned Stern gone?
No. First of all, Mendy's awesome. If you ever have 5 minutes to talk to Mendy, he's unbelievable. What a great person. What a great leader. And he's the same every day. I know they want somebody that's going to go out there and throw stuff and go crazy, but that's not him. And I don't think in New York that's what you want. And then as far as David Stearns, he's been there 1 year, people. Give him a chance. It's 1 year. GMs get like 7, 8, 10, 20 years. Hey, 5 years. I'll rebuild again, Dan. Give me 5 more years. I'm going to rebuild again. Oh, these weren't my players. This wasn't my manager. It's always 5 more years. GMs get a long leash because they hire and fire people all the time.
What's the dynamic, man? The Tigers, the Guardians, frantic comeback, 15.5 down, 9 or 10 down with weeks to go. Now they're going to go play each other. What's the reset on that?
Well, it depends on what side of it you're looking at. If you're looking at it from the Guardians, you're like, just keep doing what we're doing. We beat Scooble twice in the last couple weeks. Our pitching's been unbelievable. We've been scoring more runs. Our bullpen's been lights out. So if you're the Guardians, you're like, we didn't want a day off. Let's just keep rolling. And if you're the Tigers and AJ Hinch, you're saying, it's a new season. It didn't matter. We're in the playoffs. We have a chance. We got our ace going game 1. If we win that, we're more than likely going to get to the second round. So it just completely depends on your mindset, man. The Tigers, wow. I mean, people talk about the Mets. The only thing saving the Tigers from there being destroyed is, 1, they made the playoffs. They snuck in. And 2, the Mets collapsed, because otherwise the Tigers would be getting it right now. 15.5 games up, 15.5 above the Guardians, and they did not win the division. They didn't even tie. They actually lost. So they lost 16.5 games to them.
Where are you at with the 3 home games here?
I like it. I think it's a reward, especially for the Dodgers. You're not going to play 2 and travel 1. That used to be like, you remember it used to be like that where you play 2 and travel 1? Like, no. They play the 3, give the team an advantage that had a better record. They deserve it. I like it. Home field advantage. Listen, home field advantage doesn't mean as much for me in baseball as it does in other sports. I've said this plenty of times. I'd rather be the visitor, honestly, because if you score early, all the pressure goes on the home team. Imagine Wrigley, you're sitting there in the bleachers today. Padres first inning put a 3 spot up. Think how nervous all those people are going to be. There's going to be a lot more beer snakes bought if they go down early.
Yeah, I was there. First batter, not the first batter, first inning against the Dodgers. This is before they won it. Manny Ramirez gets a base hit, and I looked at my brother. I said, I've been in a lot of gyms over the years, man. This crowd is dead. This bad boy is over. And it was early in the game. It was like a double gap, 2 runs, crowd ready to lose, that kind of thing. See, I know you don't like the Cubs, and hey, I can respect that. You're the ultimate South Side guy.
Hold on.
You brought
I don't not like the players, okay? Because there's a lot of players on that team I actually really like.
Right.
Okay, I mean, Dansby, Nico Horner's great. There's a ton of Matthew Boyd's unbelievable. Shota's hilarious. Listen, it's not the players. So let me throw that out there right now. It's more of you stinky, greasy, grimy Cub fans that have always given me so much love over the years.
I told you this before. I like both teams. I grew up Gary, Indiana. It was easier to get to Comiskey than it was to Wrigley, but the Cubs were on every damn day, and I like both. I never understood. I know you disagree, but as a kid growing up, man, I love Bill Melton, Walt No Neck Williams. Honest to God, and then I love Kessinger and Beckert and Banks and those guys. I mean, what the hell? One's in the National, one's in the American. How good are the Dodgers? Or excuse me, how good are the Padres? How good is this pitcher?
Who's Indiana's big rival? Illinois? Who's Indiana? Purdue?
Purdue.
Okay, it'd be like you like in Indiana and Purdue at the same time. Okay, doesn't happen. It can't happen. I live in Florida. I'm a Gator fan. They're terrible. I get it. It'd be like me liking Florida and Florida State. It doesn't work. They're in different conferences. Who cares? It still isn't cool.
Right.
Okay. So no. How good are the Dodgers?
Cool, but go ahead. No. Padres. Padres.
How good are the Padres? It all depends on if the Cubs can get a lead after 5 innings. Because if the Padres have a lead after 5 innings, and you get Mason Miller, you get Robert Suarez, you get Andre Morejon, you get all these guys that are just coming in one after the other that are just closer, unbelievable pitchers. So the Cubs have to get a lead. Nick Pavetta's really good. Don't let Nick Pivetta fool you. You're like, Nick Pivetta, look at his numbers. He's really good. And then Dylan Cease is a former Cub, so you know he wants to get revenge. Plus, he's a former White Sox. So look out, Cub fans, because they have a chance. To me, though, this is the most intriguing series, just because you don't know what you're going to get from either team, right? Will the offense for San Diego show up? Will the offense for the Cubs show up? Who's going to pitch for the Cubs? Who's going to pitch for the Padres? It's the most intriguing one because you just don't know which side's going to show up. What are you getting out of Kyle Tucker? I don't know. He hadn't played for months, and then he showed up the last 2 games like, I'm going to play and get no hits. So is he going to be good? What's PCA? Is he going to be the good PCA the first half or the not so good PCA the second half?
If I said to you, across the wild card series whatever we start, this particular level of series, I said to you the over-under on complete games by a pitcher was 0.5. So will one pitcher go and throw a complete game in this entire across National and American League?
I'll bet every dollar you have, it's an under on that. Every dollar that you have, it's an under. I know. There's one guy that could do it, and they won't even let him do it, I bet. And that's Scooble. He's the one guy that could do it. But I don't think he's got one shot, and it's today at 1 o'clock. So the first game, you'll know. And if he doesn't do it, ain't nobody else doing it. I'm sorry. It's just the way it is. Listen, I played on a team 20 years ago in the ALCS. We had 4 straight complete games. You'll never, ever see that happen again, ever in the history of baseball. So, no, I don't think it'll happen. And I'll take the under. I'll take all your money, Dan. I'll throw it all on the under on that.
Yeah, and that's a lot of money. I mean, I can't make that bet. I can't. I would love to make that bet because, man, you figure somebody goes Dave Stewart or, I don't know. Do you think that's changing at all? Is anything about that changing?
Not in the playoffs because there's too much on the line. Because they all think, the next guy can be better. The next guy can be better, right? Regular season, they're trying, I think, to push him a little bit more. But in the postseason, every manager run to the bullpen. This guy. It's crazy.
Yeah, and that's why I didn't make it at 1.5, where a 2 is an over. I just made it at 1. One guy gets an 8-run lead and stays in the game, but it's just not going to happen. You talked about it being the most intriguing series, Cubs and the Padres. But I got to ask you, where are you at with – I mean, there's some pretty damn good series here. Like, I will watch Red Sox-Yankees play. I'll watch that even though I don't know if both teams are great. But I'm looking forward to that because I love watching games in Yankee Stadium. I think watching games in Yankee Stadium is the best TV. I don't know why.
Agreed. And the fans will be going crazy, especially with the Red Sox. But – what a matchup you have, Crochet versus Max Fried. What a pitching matchup you have, game 1. 2 absolute studs that have both performed well above their capabilities this year and to their talent. So Max Fried's been great against the Red Sox. Garrett Crochet has been unbelievable against the Yankees this year. The thing in that series, and for the whole postseason, the way I look at it is Aaron Judge. Which Aaron Judge do you get? Do you get playoff Aaron Judge? You get regular season Aaron Judge. Because his playoff personality and his stats are different, and he's the key to that whole team and that whole series. And the Yankees, which one plays worse defense? They're both terrible defensively. Who makes more errors? Who makes the error at a big time? Right? Which bullpen can hold up? The Red Sox statistically have a great bullpen, but name-wise, the Yankees might have the bigger names out there in the back end. So I don't know what's going to happen in this series, but for me, there's 3 intriguing series in this matchup, and I know Reds fans come after me. I get it. But the Reds and the Dodgers on paper is just not a great series. But the other 3 are absolutely awesome. First of all, you get division rivals in 2 of the 3, which is outstanding. And then all we got to do is go back to 1984 and know how much the Padres and the Cubs rivalry goes. So, I mean, we're calling Leon Durham in here at this point. Rick Sutcliffe and Leon Durham and the rest of them 84 Cubs.
Yeah, Leon Durham let it go through the wickets. True story. I was late. Only time I was ever late for a Bob Knight practice was when Bobby Dernier led off the entire series with a home run. And I'm like, crap. I sprinted over to Assembly Hall, and then I watched Leon Durham let one go through the wickets. I was buck naked with a six-pack of Old Style because I promised Steve Alford and all my teammates, if the Cubs win get the World Series, I'm going naked around this, dumping beer on my head. Durham let one go through the wickets. It's a long story.
Not a sight I want to see, Dan. Not going to lie. Not a sight anybody wanted to see.
It was Polaroid cameras. It wasn't cameras, camera phones, thank God. If you could you mentioned bullpens, and you mentioned names as opposed to really being good. Of all the bullpens playing today, who would you like to have most in a 3-5 whatever game series?
The Padres. Padres. Especially if I had Jason Adam, who ruptured his quad earlier, about a month ago. Oh, the Padres. Are you kidding me with the stuff they have, the way they deploy them? I mean, it is incredible what they run out there, especially for the last four guys. It is absolutely sick what they have.
You calling any of the games?
I'm going to be in Seattle, so for the DS. So for the next round. So I'll have Seattle and the winner of Detroit and Cleveland.
Nice, man. Well, I always love having you on. Really appreciate it. Thanks, AJ.
Hey, thanks. Appreciate it, Dan. Go White Sox. And also, I hate to say this for you, but
Cubs,
go Friars. No, that's the worst song ever. Go Friars.
Go.
Oh,
Hey, Chicago. What do you say? Cubs are going. See you, AJ. Thanks.
All right, see you guys.
Hey, it's a big-ass day. I'm just telling you, it's a big freaking day. Cubs are in the playoffs. I tell you, it's the only team other than my kids' teams that I root like crazy for. Hey, let's go Wokadoe. One of the things that I don't know, how about we just find people that are human beings? I went to college, so that makes me better than you. Now pay off my loans, you uneducated racist. That's really good. Oh, man. Yeah, boy, that is so true. Next, god dang. Pay off my loans. A lot of people. What's that guy's name? Michael something? I saw that he said, Michael whatever, said that he thinks he's going to jail, James Comey. I'll give Comey credit, though. He put that video out, and he looked very serious. And what did he say? You can't live life on your knees. Yeah, he's right about that. Unless, of course, you're in the porn industry, but he's not. It's going to be interesting to see what happens to him. He has a serious, serious problem. And I always wonder how many others are looking around going, oh, man, don't ring phone, don't ring, no text, no tweets, no emails, nothing. Let me get through today. We'll get through tomorrow, and then when tomorrow comes. I wonder how many of those folks are thinking that way. Next. Man, Brandon Johnson on your right, JP Pritzker on your left. I told you on this show, during the election of that idiot on the right, Brandon Johnson, I told you that my peeps in Chicago said, you think Lori Lightfoot, the mayor, was bad? Wait till this guy gets in, and boy, oh boy, were they right. Now, Pritzker, I said this from the get-go, I'm so tired of people just looking into the camera and lying to me. And that guy's like, well, it's the Republicans that are talking the words fascist. What? No, it's not. I mean, we're not stupid here. We can pay attention. We may not have any money, but we can pay attention. Just quit lying. Hey, last thing. When you're my age, 1984 doesn't seem that long ago. 1984 was the first year in my lifetime, well, I was born in 1962, that the Cubs got in the playoffs. The world was different then. There was no wild card. You won the East or you won the West. And then you played. And then the winner went to the World Series to take on the National League East or West winner. There weren't all these centrals and wild cards and things of that nature. So 1984, Cubs win the East, Padres win the West. Neither team had really done anything, again, in my lifetime, and they met up in an epic series. We mentioned Leon Durham. The ball went right through his legs, ground ball to first. He lunged. It was Bill Buckner 2 years before Bill Buckner. my 1984, my 21, 22-year-old self was crushed. I was a senior at IU, and we were all so fired up. I legitimately left a massive party at my house to go across the street to one of my teammates, Todd Meyer's place, to watch Steve Garvey and Kurt Bavacqua just absolutely destroy me. I'm not supposed to remember all this. Rick Sutcliffe came in a trade mid-season for Mel Hall and the great Joe Carter. He came with a guy named George Frazier. Both were lights out. Sutcliffe 16-1 with the Cubs. He was on the bump. We thought we were going to the World Series. Bad hop over Sandberg's head. Next thing you know, I legitimately was sitting there with a big bowl full of Old Style. And I had made a bet earlier that I would run the parking lot at Jackson Heights Apartments naked, pouring beer over my head if the Cubs got to the playoffs. Thank God for me in later years. Who knew the internet would come and pictures from 1984 might expose you as, well, a weirdo. But I ain't mad about it. And I can't decide if this is revenge or not. 1984, too long to be worried about revenge. But in my mind, I just decided this is revenge. Go Cubs, go. See you tomorrow.